I call to order the meeting of the Common Council for Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we'll have the roll.
Alderperson Braithwaite.
Here.
Alderperson Harrison.
Here.
Alderperson Helmke.
Here.
Alderperson Hoax.
Present.
Alderperson Posey.
Here.
Alderperson Tucker Long.
Here.
And Alderpersons Lytle and Kaiser McHenry are absent and excused.
All right, 6 alders is enough for a quorum, so we can proceed with the agenda. We'll move on to public comment. Before we get started on this, I'd just like to remind people when they speak, we would prefer people would give their name, city, and address, just so we can record that in the minutes. Public comment, if you weren't aware, is a one-way chance for the public to speak to the council. It's not an opportunity for a back and forth, and that alders generally should not speak during public comment, as they will get their chance to speak during the meeting. But anyways, with that, we'll move on to item 4, public comment. If any members of the public wish to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Hi, I'm Beth Foss from the City of Verona, and I'm here to speak my concerns about the resolution to raise the pride flag at every municipal pole building in Verona for the entirety of the 2025 calendar year. Loving others, I think that's a really great thing. I believe that all people have a purpose and that only they can do it through their unique abilities, statures, and gifts. Acknowledging that all kinds of men and women contribute to the cultural, economic, educational, and community life of the beautiful city of Verona, I think is a great thing. But I disagree with the proposal to fly the pride flag for the coming year, singling out one group, perhaps creating divisiveness with other groups. I don't think flying a flag is the answer to the problems being presented. As stated in the policy for the flags for the city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public. I feel that flying flags for certain groups might be considered divisive and actually inflammatory, creating an unintended backlash to the group the city is trying to support. By singling out a group for their differences and giving them preferred status of all the city flagpoles for the entirety of the year, it could create a feeling that the city is pushing a personal agenda on the governmental forum of the flagpole. If we are concerned about the mental health of one group, should we fly a flag to support all the groups facing suicide and violence in the area? And that's a very valid concern, I understand. But what about the 523 veterans who committed suicide in 2023? Jewish residents facing harassment and violence? Where do we draw the line? Unfortunately, we would run out of flagpoles. Sadly. I am personally saddened to see the pride flag. It reminds me that people are searching for their identity in what they do, what they have, or what others say about them. What would it look like if we all encouraged people to appreciate everyone's differences, not just a select group? If it had been said you'd rather err on the side of trying to help, but can't the city do better than just flying a flag? As a city council, please leave the city flagpoles to stand for truth, to not be celebrating one group of people over another, especially for such an extended period of time. We are all created precious, priceless, and made for a purpose. I pray that the city will create a place where all people feel valued and no flag is needed, where people who disagree over politics or religion or any issue will still find community and celebrate diversity under the flags that are flown for all of us. We're all people of Verona, residents of Wisconsin, and people of the United States. Maybe we celebrate these things. And for the armed forces who fight and defend those rights, sometimes paying the ultimate price. I am truly looking for perspective and discussion on this topic, and I would value the chance to talk to any or all of you about this issue and others, to sit and talk over tea or coffee if you can handle it, and how we can still work together, or a phone call. I really would like to thank Mara and Beth and the mayor for emailing back this week. I really appreciated hearing your perspectives and hearing more about why you think the pride flag is needed. I appreciate hearing that we can all care about the well-being of the residents and others in the community. I feel like the flag is not the answer, but discussion and communication is. Discuss issues in the world where people seem to have lost the ability to talk, disagree, and still work together for the good of those around them and what is needed. All life is precious, so how can we work together to give each other hope and a purpose? Thank you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if any members of the public wish to speak, now would be the time to do so. Don't worry, everyone's going to get a chance to speak. We'll go in. If you want to get in the front row and get next in line. Okay.
I'd like to address all the alder women and men and the people in the audience, and thank you for this chance to speak. Resolution NOR-24-033 reads, resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA community and fly the Progress Pride flag at designated city facilities in 2025. I am here to address this resolution. My name is Barbara Nelson. I live on 415 South Main Street in Verona. I just paid my property taxes today. But there are some indisputable facts that I wanted to address. Fact number one, flags represent things. Fact number two, flags are flown at government buildings. Fact number three, flags are paid for by taxpayers in the community. Since these facts are indisputable and true, excuse me, what is our priority? Is our priority to promote unity in the community? Since all people in Verona use our government facilities, since all people in Verona benefit from our government facilities, since all people in Verona pay for our government facilities, I propose that we choose flags that represent all the people of Verona. Consider this, I am part of a subgroup. I'm white, I'm a woman, I'm a grandma, I'm over 60, so I'm a subgroup. But that excludes everybody else who doesn't belong to my subgroup. What will this committee do if I were to say, fly the grandma flag? Or what would this committee do if a member of the Ho-Chunk First Nation represents the Ho-Chunk flag, or requesting the Ho-Chunk flag? We could come up with many other flags that are requested. I'm so thankful that we have the U.S. flag that represents all people flying at our government facilities. And if there's another flag to add, I would request the Wisconsin flag to be added, that would unite all people. I moved to Verona 2.5 years ago. I bought my son's house. He and his family had lived here. And I've had a wonderful experience since coming to Verona. I participate at the Senior Citizen Center. I play ping pong there. I go to different events there. And they recently had a chili feed where the fire department provided the food, and there were people of all ages there celebrating at this event. And it brought unity to the community. I also developed a small business in this community as an LLC, and the customers that I have remark about how they enjoy the safety and the hometownness of this community. So my experience here has been wonderful. I'm glad I moved here. But in conclusion, I would like to recommend that flags flown at government buildings include all of us, all of our constituents, no matter our age, gender, or race. Let's not exclude anyone. Let's choose to fairly represent taxpayer money. And I'm so glad that you pledged allegiance to the flag. That's the one thing that unites all of us. United States flag, and I'd like to say that again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm someone who receives songs from heaven, and I would like to bless you with a song that I've received from heaven. The Prince of Peace sings shalom over you. Shalom means peace, nothing missing, nothing broken, no injustice, no lack. The Prince of Peace sings shalom over you. Shalom, shalom, no good thing be withheld. Shalom, shalom. The Prince of Peace sings shalom over you. Shalom, shalom. you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so
Hi, my name is Rex Milewski. I am a Verona resident at 835 Basswood Avenue. I go to school at the Verona Area School District, and I'm just going to flat out say it. I'm gay. I'm proud of that. I know many students at my school who are LGBTQ and who feel that they cannot be seen at that school or in this community. This resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA and flying those flags would make so many people in this community feel seen, whether they are out or not. This is important to so many people because this will make them feel safe, seen, and more. This will open many doors to people who want to move here. This will open new doors to new opportunities and be more inclusive in general. The Progressive Pride flag includes many, and it shows the progress that has been made in this community over years, and our progress to inclusivity against discrimination. What we are fighting in our schools as well is discrimination. If we can be seen by our city's government, it's a big step for us. Students, adults, anyone. I know there are plenty of teachers who wish there were more that they can do for students and kids and other adults. This resolution would mean so much to so many people in this community. Pride flag are not just supporting us, just showing that in this world full of hate, there can be a light. And that people are truly listening to us, to the concerns, and truly showing support. I am in support of this resolution, and I hope that you will carefully take into consideration the lives of the youth for the future, and the many more to come. Thank you.
thank you. And thank you for signing in. It helps with the note-taking for the minutes. We're still in public comment.
Before I start, I just want to say that as I was sitting there, that high school student said my glasses chain was cool, and I'm 45, so that's like, so that's kind of been my week. Hello, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Nate Bjork. I'm actually a Madison resident, but I go to church here in Verona. I'm a member of the Sugar River United Methodist Church, where I play drums in the band, and I serve as the chairperson for the Rainbow River Inclusion Team. While city business and church business should traditionally stay in their own lanes, that's obviously not how it works in our society, right? So I'm here to voice my support for resolution number 24033, the resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA plus community and fly the Progress Pride flag at designated city facilities in 2025. And now I'm going to talk about Jesus a little bit, and then make everyone really comfortable about it. And just because I'm here as a member of the church, Jesus had a radical message. And the idea was that God loves everyone, right? And everyone, no matter what. Jesus made it clear that God's favorite people were the poor, the sick, the disabled, marginalized. You guys remember in Footloose when Ren McCormick read from the Bible at the city council meeting? Remember that? I always wanted to do that. Just a short passage. It's from Matthew 5. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. I want to acknowledge the harm the church has done to the LGBTQIA plus community. Historically, it'll take more than a flag to reconcile that, but it's a start. So, thank you.
Hi. I'm Anna Meyer. I'm a junior at Verona Area High School, and I've lived in Verona my whole life. I'm also the president of the GSA at the high school. And I'm here not just for myself, but for a lot of people who wish they could be here but can't because it's just not something they're safe and able to do right now. And I think passing this resolution would really be a huge step forward in making this community truly safe and welcoming. Though this might seem like an insignificant, little thing to do, just hanging a flag, it represents a lot more. Having just a reminder of your safety and that you're welcome somewhere can mean the world to people. I've seen it firsthand for people. The second they see just the little rainbow sticker in a classroom or a little sign saying they belong, they open up so much more, and it just makes people feel okay and like they're safe to be themselves. And I think that's more important than any sort of, well, I don't like it. It's about people feeling safe. It's about people feeling seen. And it just makes our community more welcoming. And I just think that's good.
Thank you.
Gotta put the cheaters on. My name is Jenny Nowak. I live at 560 Aspen Avenue, right here in Verona. Good evening and thank you. My family and I just said it. We live in Verona, lived here 15 years. I am a parent of a transgender young adult who's a little bit bigger now, was part of the group of Verona High School. I also worship right here in Verona at Good Shepherd Church. As a parent, as a resident, and a member of a welcoming and inclusive church, I am here tonight to ask you to vote yes to the resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA+ community by flying the progress flag in 2025. I am that parent of a transgender young adult. I have experienced firsthand the city of Verona trying to support the LGBTQIA+ community. I'm going to give an example. Please understand, my daughter is now 22, again, young adult. She's been here. She's in a different situation now. As the young adult who is transgender, she feels safe shopping in our Verona stores, walking anywhere on the Verona streets. But let me repeat that. I have a transgender child who lives in Verona, shops in Verona, walks, bikes, and drives in Verona. She feels safe in Verona. Your support of this resolution tells me, as a mom, that the city of Verona is committed to her future safety. Your support of this resolution tells me, as a resident, that you see her and all the members of the LGBTQIA+. You recognize their value and their contributions to this community. Your support of this resolution tells me, as a person of faith, that you will continue to strive for inclusion, welcoming, and being that city that encompasses all us humans. Thank you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment.
Hello, my name is Adriana Loishan, and my family moved to Verona when I was 2. I live at 608 Eastview Court, and I go to Verona Area High School. I would like to voice my support for putting up pride flags at city-owned flagpoles, because the pride flag means a lot to me and a lot of other people. Yes, it supports the LGBTQ, and yes, some are not, but it also shows you are loved, no matter who you are, straight, gay, trans, cis. It is something that shows that we support everyone and we love everyone. I think it could serve as a powerful sign of hope for those who love a gay person, love a trans person, or are gay or trans themselves. I think it would be an important sign that the City of Verona is striving to be an inclusive and loving environment for everyone. And I would like to voice my firm support for this, I don't know what it's called, a resolution?
Thank you. We're still in public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and Common Council members. My name is Gary Anderson. I live at 1012 Cherry Blossom Drive. I just moved here from Duluth, Minnesota, where until January of this year I served on the city council there for 2 terms. Moved here, made a choice to move into Verona in part because we drove through this main street last probably January or even December and saw pride flags hanging at businesses in town. I thought, this is a place where we would feel comfortable, my spouse and myself. We came down here because our grandkids are here and our adult kids and their families. One of the places that I came or have been to in order to find community for myself here was to go to the Verona Area Senior Center. And when I went there, I noticed like a total lack of visibility for senior elders. And from the Wisconsin Department of Health website, they talk about LGBTQ elders twice as likely to live alone, half as likely to have a partner, 4 times more likely to have no children to assist them, 50% more likely to have no close relatives to call for help. And so this is just some simple data about being an older queer person. I'm fortunate, I'm married, I have kids, I have grandkids, I have community. But the visibility, and importantly, noticing that there was a lack of visibility at the senior center here in Verona, myself, with the support from my spouse, we have started a support group at the center, and we've been meeting twice a month at the center with support from the staff there. It's been a really amazing thing. And I want to say, talk without naming any names, but 2 folks who showed up at our meeting last Tuesday. One was a 79-year-old woman whose spouse of 39 years had died in June, and she was there. And across the table from her was a gentleman probably in his mid-80s whose husband of 25 years had died in June. So as gay people age, it's often the case, sadly the case, that they have to sort of disappear that whole part of themselves. And, there's this heterosexual assumption when you walk into a care facility or into a city government place, this assumption is that you're straight and cisgender. And by just this simple action of flying this flag, I think is really a powerful statement that we can make as a community, especially in these times when our safety literally is being challenged from all around, and for some of us from within. So I really encourage the support, and I look forward to hearing your discussion on this matter tonight, and hopefully see you pass this resolution. Thank you.
Mayor and city councilors, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gary Bolhauer. I live at 1012 Cherry Blossom Drive. It's a Verona address. I guess it's in the city of Madison, however. But I do a lot of shopping here. I belong to the senior center here, and along with my spouse who just spoke, whose name is also Gary. So you see we have some difficulties at our house. And he's an awful lot taller than I am. Flying the Progress Pride flag, I think, is a wonderful first step to symbolize that you have created a community where all are welcome, where all are seen, where all are respected. But it's just a first step. Many times when I speak to people over the phone and I talk about my spouse, their immediate reaction in the next sentence will be, and she, and I have to say, no, he. I'm married to a man. It wasn't too many years ago when that was not legal, but we fought very hard for those rights, which so many people take for granted for generations and generations. We don't take that right for granted. There are many people in our LGBTQ plus community who are afraid right now, who are hoping that some of the laws that are being passed in various states that disallow gender-affirming care for children and even for adults might be taken away. It is a time when we need to stand up for all. And I hope that flying the pride flag is seen not as an affront to any other community, but as a sign that this community is attempting to be respecting of all. Please vote yes on this important resolution.
Good evening. I'm Phil Hobson. I live at 1417 Waldorf Boulevard, which may raise eyebrows because that's a Madison address. But I serve as the pastor at Salem United Church of Christ here in Verona, and we just celebrated our 101st anniversary as a church here in Verona. The way I get into Verona is by North Main Street. That's the way I leave as well on most days, unless the Ironman is happening on a Sunday, and then you drive all the way around the city to find the way in, and that's a whole other thing. When I first drove in, and every time since, I've seen Hometown USA on that sign. And I think of my own hometown in Tennessee, and I think of the other towns that I have served in Texas and Michigan and New York. And I think of the ways in which a hometown is home and supportive of family and friends. And I am not in the LGBTQIA plus community, but I am family to people in the LGBTQIA plus community. I am pastor and have been throughout my time as a pastor for more than 20 years, been a pastor to people in the LGBTQIA plus community, and I've practiced saying those letters long enough that I want to say them to prove that I can say them, because they're a mouthful. They do not come trippingly off the tongue. I am friends to people in the LGBTQIA plus community, and I've seen as family, as friend, and as pastor, what happens when people are affirmed, and how beautiful it is, how helpful it is, how amazing it is to let people be themselves. And I have also seen, as friend, as family member, and as pastor, what happens when they are not affirmed, and how painful and how dangerous it is. So I speak as a family member, as a friend, As a part of this hometown now, and as a faith leader, inviting you to please vote in favor of this resolution to support family and friends and people who are LGBTQIA+. Thank you.
I'm David Kirsch. I live at 325 Prairie Way Boulevard. We moved here in June with my wife. And I'm against flying a flag. I'm not going to repeat what the first two ladies said. I think it was wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Hello, everybody. My name is Miss Amelia. My real name is Amelia McConnell. I live in Oregon, but I'm an employee of the Verona Area School District. I'm also an official mom, like mom hugger, like a free mom hugger. I'm also an official mama bear, and I'm here tonight under the capacity of being a member of PFLAG Madison. PFLAG stands for Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It's been around for over 50 years. It was created after the Stonewall riots in response to one mom wondering how she could do better to support the people she loved. So I did write down a couple of notes because I do get sidetracked sometimes about my passions, and this is one of them. So I'd like to tell you first about the Progressive Pride flag because I feel like there are some common misconceptions about this, but this is not the original Pride flag. The original Pride flag had 8 colors. In 1978, the pink at the top was removed because pink fabric was in limited supply. There was a teal between these two, and they took away the teal and the pink, and they felt like 6 colors was more representative of all people. And the 6 colors represented life and energy and healing here, sunlight, nature, calmness or serenity, and spirit, like the you of you, the character of you. So while none of these colors represent LGBTQ, they all wrap together the message that these things were essential in all of us, right? So when you look next on the Pride flag, the Progressive Pride flag was created in 2018, where you have the white, pink, and the blue to represent trans individuals, and you have brown and you have black to say that the connection or intersection between gay people, trans people, is always a little bit harder if you also have a little bit more melanin on your skin. That's why that was added, was to just acknowledge worldwide that people of the world's racial majority sometimes have it harder. But one thing we can do is to recognize that this flag is for everyone. That you do not have to be trans, you do not have to be black, you do not have to be gay to flag this flag. You do not have to know or love or be married to or live with or protect day in and day out someone who is gay or trans or black to fly this flag. This flag is for all of us to say that all individuals deserve to live. They deserve healing. They deserve to enjoy light and sunlight and the green and the earth around us. We all deserve to feel calm, the capacity for serenity, and we all deserve to have who we are and our characters supported. That's what this flag means. I hope you will support the motion because passing that motion tonight and flying this flag year-round is important because symbols like this are important, I hope, to all of us. Yes, this is a thing, but this represents people who we love, who we wish to feel safe in our community, and what we believe in. This cost-neutral, debt-free, relatively effortless, pain-free motion would say to all residents of the city of Verona, anyone coming here, anyone visiting here, potentially moving here, it would say to all of them that they are welcome. And as always, it is a friendly reminder that words like welcome, allyship, leadership, representation, and love, those are all action words. Thank you.
Thank you. Still in public comment?
Good evening. I'm Skylar Frankie. I am a resident at 1021 Acker Lane in Verona. I recently just moved here a year ago. I serve at Verona Area High School as an English teacher and also the co-advisor to the GSA chapter at Verona Area High School. A lot of these students that are here are students that I've worked with and am very proud of. As a teacher, there's a project I've had my students do over the years where they research different types of reparations across the United States. I teach a class called AES, Culture and Identity, Advanced English Studies. In the class, we study a lot of different underserved communities throughout the United States' history. And we've talked about how we can what we can do with this information, because there's a lot of negativity and a lot of just sadness hearing about all these things that these people have gone through. And I see this as a motion of support to a lot of my students and a lot of people like me who come from my community. But I also see it as a form of reparations against a community that's had to face so much violence, so much hatred, so much almost disappointment throughout I don't even know how long. But I support this resolution because this tells my students, this tells the people within my community, this tells me and my sibling, who is also a trans person, that this community is here for you, and we're going to do something to kind of not fix, but improve your life after everything that's been done to your community. And I think that's something that we could all be supporting. I support reparations for the Black community, the Japanese who were interned during World War II. And I see this as something that's not much different than that. Again, it's a community that's been historically harmed by a majority of the population of this country, and I think this is just the first step. Like a lot of my peers have said, this is the first step to saying, hey, we're going to try to do better in the future. This doesn't erase everything that we've done, but it does kind of say, I'm sorry, and we're going to take steps in a better direction. So thank you.
Still in public comment?
Hi, my name's Allison Gunderson. I live at 145 Jenna Drive. The flag that's being discussed tonight is representative of acceptance of all people and having pride in living a life that honors who we are at our core. It does not say that others do not matter, contrary to what some of the other people might have said tonight. For my family and others, it will symbolize that we're safe here. We are loved. We will not be discriminated against here. That's what it symbolizes. My family moved to Verona in 2013, and this was, out of all of the places in Wisconsin, a place that my family felt safe. My family and many of the people in the LGBT community avoid travel. We don't know where we're safe. We don't know where we're safe. We avoid going to bathrooms in public. You have to make a special exception. Make sure that you empty everything before you leave your house, because we don't know where we're safe. Everything is out of fear that we're going to be harmed, discriminated against, judged. My biggest fear is that my children's other mom will not come home alive. Biggest fear. Because of her gender identity. She's a trans woman. She looks like Taylor Swift. But I fear for her life and my children's other parent every single day. So we want to keep our families and our children safe. We want to keep them safe. My family is fortunate in that we pass very well. Not everybody is. So we want to keep our families and our children safe, a little less fearful, and that flag pride, that flag, it makes a difference. And out of all of the places in Wisconsin where we don't always feel safe, we cannot go visit our family in some of the rural parts. We want to feel safe where we live. It might not be a protection, but it's a symbol. And the more we embrace those symbols, will help us all be a little more comfortable where we live. So please keep Verona as safe as possible. Identify Verona with this resolution as a place where we are all accepted and all of us are loved. We're here, a lot of us are here in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. We're still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Cohen. I live at 648 Ethan Terrace. I was here about a month ago before I knew there was a resolution encouraging the city to fly the progressive pride flag, not only in June, but year-round, because pride is not just 1 month, it's year-round. I love seeing the pride flag on the businesses on Main Street. I love knowing that my middle schooler can attend GSA. I love that we go into the library and there are books for everybody. And I think this flag, although, symbolic, just shows it's a public, public expression, public support. And I'm so proud that this resolution is out there, and I'm so excited to hear the vote. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We're still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Hi, I'm Apollo. I am actually a resident of Oregon, 102 Clubhouse Drive. I'm here with my mom. Hi, Mom. I just want to tell a little bit about my mom. So, as my mom has said, she's a PFLAG parent. She's also helps run GSA within her school, and she does so many other things that amaze me every single day, and I'm the gay one. So, on that note, Mom, I love you. I also am so happy to see a room full of people who I know for a fact support me, and I think that with this small community, with even one person, with a couple people, as that number grows, and I hope it grows to Verona, and I hope it grows to Oregon, I hope it grows as big as we can get it, of people who are just willing to represent love and willing to represent something that can unite all of us. I just, as a personal thing, and as I know a lot of people who may fall under underrepresented communities, we don't necessarily all feel represented by an American flag, and that's okay. We don't have to necessarily feel represented by a flag because we're not living on a flag. We are living where we live. We are going to school. We're going to work. We're walking to the grocery store. We're going anywhere in our lives, and what really counts is we know that the actual space that we are living in supports us. I feel like I do support this vote. Please put the flag up. That would be awesome. I would love to see even more. But I also think that it is important to consider other things that will make the queer community feel supported and heard and loved. I think that this is a great, as many other people have said, this is a great first step. I hope people can continue to get involved, bring up similar issues or hopefully bigger ones as well. I hope people can take a couple pages out of my mom's book and just be just so willing to be open and loving and not afraid to be an open and loving person. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if any other members of the public wish to speak on this topic or other ones, now would be the time to do so. Seeing nobody else approaching the microphone, we will move on with the agenda. We'll move on to item 5, which is approval of the minutes from the November 11th, 2024 Common Council meeting. Questions, corrections, or motions to approve?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 11th, 2024 Common Council meeting.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Posey. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 6, which is mayor's business. I got one item, which is 6A, a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 24-033, resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA+ community and fly the Progress Parade at designated city facilities in 2025. I'm going to call on myself first, and then whoever wants to talk next. Yeah, I want to say a couple things just to clarify. The Progress Pride flags are donated as per city policy. They're not paid for out of public money. The city of Verona flies the American flag, always have and always will. The Wisconsin flag, the city flag, flags for various branches of the military, and the Arbor Day Tree City flag, which nobody's ever complained about. Flying the Progress Pride flag doesn't take away from any of these other things and these other flags and these other symbols we have up. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for the whole situation. Granting equality to other people doesn't take rights away from anybody else. As a straight man, like, this flag is not for me, but I don't feel like we need one. Like, if you look now in Washington, D.C., there are very powerful, important people talking about taking away rights from a segment of Americans and persecuting them as well. And I think that's wrong. Nobody is in Washington, D.C. talking about nullifying my marriage to my wife. So again, don't need a flag. So what this comes down to for me is saying it's a chance for the city of Verona to talk and take a stand for equality and say that we believe in all of our residents and that people should be free to be who they were born as. And so I fully support this. We flew it earlier this year and last year as well. And I'm not a big symbol person, but I know it was really meaningful for people in the community, and that makes it worth doing, in my opinion. But those are my thoughts on the matter, and I'd open it up to other people on the council. Alder Humke.
Okay. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody here who came. I really appreciate you all being here. It's really brave of you to show up. Really. I know in talking with people in this community that they're not all safe being here. So for those of you who spoke, for those who couldn't come, I really appreciate it. I knew there was going to be a lot of comments about your personal stories, and so I wanted to honor those. I don't have a personal story, but part of the, and I knew there were other people on council speaking about the reasons that they're doing this, and all the reasons that you spoke about are reasons that I care about. So it's hard to narrow it down, but I'm pretty involved in politics in my day job. And what I can tell you is, at a state level, the ACLU is tracking 14 anti-LGBTQ IA+ bills in the Wisconsin legislature. While these bills may not become a law, the effects to the LGBTQIA community cannot be understated. In 2022, the Trevor Project, a national organization that provides crisis intervention to LGBTQIA young people, completed a study of 33,000 LGBTQIA+ youth ages 13 to 24 across the United States. One of the data points was suicide attempt rate compared to community acceptance, which is what we're here talking about. Very accepting communities had an 8% attempt rate compared to very unaccepting communities of a 21% rate. In addition, referencing what the mayor has talked about, last month the Trevor Project experienced a 700% increase of calls, text, and chats compared to prior weeks. These are significant and terrifying statistics. The lives of our community members matter deeply, and we cannot sit back any longer assuming that they know that they are accepted. The actions or inactions we take have consequences. So let's make a difference where we are able to, so the LGBTQIA plus people and their allies know that Verona is a safe and welcoming community. So just for those of you who haven't been involved in this process, Alder Tucker Long and I have been working really hard on this. You know, we really wanted to make sure that the voices of the people that we're trying to represent were included. We had discussions with many people in the LGBTQIA plus community, members, organizations. We spoke to people of all ages. Some of them are in this room and some are not. One of the things that was brought to our attention is this flying the pride flag would matter. It was a small step in the right direction, and I want to affirm what everybody is saying here. This is just the first step. This isn't the answer to everything. Flying the pride flag year-round also is not something that's been done. We tried to Google it. It's really hard to find because it's not happening, right? People are flying the pride flag wonderfully in the month of June to honor Pride Month. But you know what? Like, we can be a leader on this. We might be 16,000 people, but we can be the people saying this is what we need to be doing. So I received a lot of public comments on my email as well. I just want to close with one public comment that resonated with me. This Verona says, I believe flying the pride flag will support Verona's desire to be seen as a growing, vibrant community for everyone. And I couldn't agree more with this, and it's why I'll be voting yes.
Other questions, comments, or motions? Alder Tucker Long.
I would like to echo Alder Mara's sentiments that I am so excited to see so many people here. We don't always get a lot of public comment on things, you know, exciting issues like redrawing lines of property and things like that. So it's nice to have something that's bringing so many people together here in this room, and I'm so proud of everyone who's here. I know several people, this is their first time speaking at a council meeting, and I'm so, so proud of all of you. So thank you very much for coming. So the first time that I knew I had lost someone to LGBTQIA plus discrimination, I was in college. It was an amazing young music savant and just the kindest, most gentle soul. And he lost his battle with suicide because of the intense discrimination, and that was super painful. And since then, I have lost 2 more people to suicide because of the pressures and hatred of the LGBTQIA plus that people face. And I don't want to lose any more people. According to the FBI's crime data statistics, overall crime and hate crimes specifically decreased in 2023, which is the most recent year we have data for. During this same time period, however, hate crimes based on gender identity increased by 16%, and those based on sexual orientation increased by 23%. LGBTQIA plus hate crimes represent the second largest category of hate crimes in the U.S., only behind race and ethnicity-based hate crimes as the largest category. But this is not just something that happens elsewhere that we can leave to someone else to deal with. In September, I was at the Verona Public Library with my 8-year-old daughter. I was wearing a Pride t-shirt from a local brewery. As we walked out of the children's area, a man saw my shirt and yelled angrily at me, "I do not support the LGBT community." I froze as he walked out of the library. I didn't know what to do. The librarian asked me if I knew who that was, but I didn't. We checked out our books, and then we went back into the children's area so my daughter could play while I tried to collect myself. I was so upset and more than just a little scared of walking out to the parking lot, not knowing who this person was or when I would run into them again. This was terrifying. Aggression and hatred like this have no place in our world, and definitely not in our Verona. We must work to make Verona a safe and welcoming place, and I will be voting yes on this resolution.
Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Posey.
Thank you. I will be nowhere near as eloquent as my colleagues, and I thank them for everything that they have said this evening. For me, several years ago, and I said this when we first discussed the flag policy, I learned a really important lesson sitting up here, that you have to sometimes say things out loud. I am a person who's not about just showing something and just hanging a flag, but what else do we need to do and what do we need to do next? I've reached out to people who are in my life over the last couple of days and weeks to say, we have this coming up, what do you think? And gathered their thoughts and opinions, and overwhelmingly it's yes, fly it, and then do something else, do the next thing. And I think the most important thing is to understand, and I want to be very clear that a vote for this is not against someone else. You are all part of this community. You all matter to me. I would be sad for anybody to be the victim of violence. I am sad for anybody to be the victim of suicide in our community. Every one of you matter to me. And that is what is important, is that this is not saying that this is against anyone. And I want to be, like, I can't say it loud enough. And while I am for flying the flag, I'm flying it because I care about everyone. And I want everyone to know that I care. So, and hopefully that's something that's shared amongst everyone. And I'm sorry if you feel differently. I will admit that we had messages of hate left on flagpoles when we flew it last time. And that shocked me about my community. So please be respectful of each other, care for each other like we always do. We are neighbors, we are a community, and let's move forward as a supportive community of each other and a caring community of each other.
Other questions, comments, or motions on the item? Alder Harrison.
This issue is personal to me, and personal to so many of us, and I just want to echo what so many have already said. Thank you. Reading through some emailed public comments this morning, was not feeling very positively about coming tonight, not feeling very safe myself. But I have to be here, and I will be here. It is important to know that flying this flag does not praise or elevate the morals or philosophies of any one group of people. Being gay is not a moral issue. It shouldn't be. And if you think it is, that's your choice. And if I am subject to the judgment that you believe I am, then I will face that judgment proudly. I do think it's a fair point to believe that when you raise a flag for one group of people, that it maybe lessens the experiences of others. But I think that that misses the point of what flying this flag at our city buildings would do. The purpose of this would be to signify to the group of people and signify to me that we are safe to be here in Verona. That while so many of the facets of our personalities are under attack on the news and in social media and at the federal government and the state government, everywhere, we can be a beacon of safety for the people in our lives. These are the people who live with us. These are the people who, support this town. There's nothing I would want to do for this group of people besides say thank you for the amazing things you contribute to our community. I think it's also important to say that I don't think this represents a shift in the values of our city. We have always pushed for inclusion and equity, and we have always done our best to make sure that everyone feels safe. I'm strongly in favor of passing this resolution and flying this flag year-round to let people know in a time when it is so justifiable not to feel safe as an LGBTQ person, that we are safe here. You should be safe here. And that's why I'll be voting yes.
Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Braithwaite.
Yeah, I wanted to thank everybody who showed up here tonight. I know that's not easy, and I also wanted to thank Alder Helmke and Alder Tucker Long for submitting this proposal along with the mayor. I also want to thank previous city council members who took on the thankless task of writing this policy. I think it's a great policy, and it's, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, 2 alders along with the mayor submit a written request for a commemorative flag. We have a discussion. We ultimately have a vote. Up to 2 commemorative flags can be flown at once for city facilities. The duration is set forth in the resolution, but the council reserves the right to modify that duration. I think this policy is democratic. Ultimately, Alder Helmke and Alder Tucker Long are elected, and as the mayor, I agree that this doesn't subtract from any other group. I look forward to future requests for other commemorative flags. I think we, as a body, can do our small part in honoring the different subgroups that make us whole and make us unique. So I commend everybody for developing this policy for a way that this body can reflect the diversity of our community. And I appreciate the courage that it took to present those viewpoints and to present this petition. And I look forward to voting yes.
Other questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Hoax.
Thanks. I'll keep it brief because everybody else has already spoken and spoken nicely. But no, I guess I was not sure what to, we received emails over the weekend, and they're about 50-50. And, we'd get one that was in support and one that was against, right? And so I honestly didn't really know how I felt about the policy, right? I thought we had a pretty good policy written before. So, as a business owner, I fly the pride flag at my business, and normally I like to keep government out of politics, right? And so, yeah, until 10 minutes ago, I didn't know how I was voting, right? So I appreciate those that have spoken. I think, like Alder Posey said, right, when we're elected, we are here to represent the people in our district, right? But ultimately, we are here to help make Verona a better place. And you might not agree with everything we do, right? But I think we're all part of that community. So, yeah, I think this sounds like a good idea to me. So I'm going to be voting yes.
Questions, Alder Humke.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 24-033, resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA community and fly the Progress Pride flag at designated city facilities in 2025.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, I believe Alder Harrison had it. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? I think everyone had a chance to speak. All those in favor of resolution number 24-033, resolution to publicly support the LGBTQIA+ community and fly the Progress Pride flag at designated city facilities in 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. That is everything. That is everything under mayor's business. I would like to ask the council to break for 8 minutes because I have to go to the bathroom. If we could be back here at 8:14, that would be great. All right, it is 8:14, and we are back in session. We'll move on to item 7, which is announcements. Any announcements from the council? Alder Braithwaite, then Alder Posey.
Yeah, I just want to make an announcement. It's the end of the year, and we start thinking ahead for New Year's resolutions. And I just wanted to announce my New Year's resolution for 2025. And I'd like to meet with various folks across the community who are interested in seeing what we can do to strengthen neighborhoods across across the city. I don't have a proposed model, but I would certainly like to hear people's ideas of their ideas. Sorry, I'd like to hear people's ideas of strengthening neighborhoods, whether it's maybe an association, or maybe a Facebook group, or maybe a different type of social media, or just meeting in person once or twice a year. So I look forward to getting those ideas from my fellow board members and soliciting feedback across the community, and so that's my New Year's resolution for 25.
Alder Posey.
Thank you. I played with whether I would announce this or not, decided that in the efforts to have a really vibrant election, I am not running again, so I hope to invite anyone who's interested in a seat in District 1 to go out and get your signatures. There's still plenty of time, and I'm really excited for what the council is currently doing and where we're all moving toward. And yeah, that's what I needed to say tonight.
Other announcements from the council? All right, with that, we'll move on to item 8, which is the administrator's report. Mr. Mr. Olick.
No, all good.
Gee,
All good,
it's been
man.
a long time. I think I'd be over it.
Having flashbacks. All good. On to quickly brief you on policies. Yay, all the fun stuff. HR manager Mitch Weckerly, he said, a lot of these policies are complicated and nuanced, and I think that's we're trying to tackle these kind of one at a time here and get them updated. So you'll see tonight is the expense reimbursement policy, which hasn't been updated since 2011. So some of these we're dusting them off and updating them through committees, et cetera. One is the hybrid meeting policy. And basically what we're looking at is trying to enable our large conference room to have a closed session and have it in a decent manner. Things like camera upgrades, a camera in front by the TV, tabletop camera, microphones, things like that. And also, because Catherine's on tonight, a map camera of some sort for her to see maps when developers come in and show those as well. So anyway, we're working through the technology updates and in particular, standing committees as well. If there is a member who is unable to attend, they could theoretically, as long as we know about it, schedule the large conference room and have a meeting in there and have a virtual attendee for a standing committee meeting. So anyway, we're working through that. We also have the social media policy, which should be coming back to the personnel committee next time that committee meets for has a scheduled meeting. We're also working on updates to the sidewalk cafe ordinance and developing a public art ordinance. So those are all kind of in the ether. Again, tonight, the expense reimbursement policy is on the agenda. But we're working on all those. One other thing, and this is nothing particularly prompted it, just be aware that we do have an ethics code for elected officials. It's in section Title 2, Chapter 5. If you haven't looked at it or looked at it in a while, just read it. Nothing particularly prompted this, but it's there. It applies to you as elected officials. And feel free to read it sometime when you're having trouble falling asleep. Lastly, we may send out a poll for another December meeting, kind of depending. We have a meeting tomorrow, and we're going to find out more. But anyway, we may send out just a doodle poll or something like that to schedule a second meeting this month. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Olick. Any questions on the administrator's report? Alder Harrison.
Just one. I'm still not super comfortable navigating the Verona website. Would you mind sending an email with that section of the ethics code so I can review it? I don't know how to find it, so thank you.
Absolutely. Yep, will do.
Other questions for Mr. Alec? All right, with that, we'll move on to item 9, to the engineer's report. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you. The Laser Street Extension project wrapped up end of November, was substantially complete. Punch list work in restoration are underway with surface pavement and other minor items planned for spring 2025. For Arden Glen 3A, home construction began the week of Thanksgiving. Finishing of punch list items and restoration is underway. And finally, for the Azura Memory Care, the building construction is complete and landscaping, vegetation, and restoration of the site is ongoing. So with that, I can take any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Fisher? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to item 10, which is committee reports. First up, we have 10A Finance Committee. Alder Humke.
Yes, I make a motion for payment of the bills in the amount of $1,692,925.03.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Posey. Alder Humke.
Yes, the main parts of this bill, of these payments, are to the Art House 360 for $354,000 for construction costs, to JT Engineering for $101,398 for various engineering projects, to SBA Management Services for $104,359 for Century School Park construction, and to AECom for $181,244 for engineering services.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on the motion to pay the bills? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of paying the bills in the amount specified signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from finance?
Nothing further.
With that, we'll move on to 10B, which is Personnel Committee. Alder Humke.
Yes. I make a motion, hold on. I move to approve City of Verona Administrative Policy Number 2 relating to expense reimbursement and travel.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Host. Alder Humke.
Yes, so the last update to the expense reimbursement and travel policy was January 24th, 2011. The amended expense reimbursement and travel policy proposes the following changes. It affixes the minimum meal allowance claim amount to the General Service Administration, or GSA, per diem rates for meals using the Madison area rates for qualifying reimbursements in Wisconsin and location-based rates for areas outside of Wisconsin. It establishes timetables to be eligible to claim reimbursement for a meal. It incorporates language from the city's human resource law firm to note that meals may be taxable in certain circumstances. And it incorporates language to put the onus on the city administrator to approve meals for training, events, and off-site business meals, and the mayor is the approving authority for the city administrator and elected officials.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no, Alder Humke.
I just wanted to say thank you. This was a lengthy conversation, and I appreciate everybody who was involved in that conversation to make this policy more up to date. So, thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the City of Verona Administrative Policy Number 2 relating to expense reimbursement and travel signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from personnel? Nothing further. Excellent. With that, we move on to 10C, which is Public Safety and Welfare Committee. Alder Host.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve a change of agent request from Quick Trip Incorporated, doing business as Quick Trip number 837, located at 400 East Verona Avenue.
Motion by Alder Host. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Host.
Thank you. Quick Trip number 837 is requesting a change of agent as the former agent is no longer employed. A background check has been conducted and no issues were identified. Staff recommends approval of the appointment of Nicole Harrison as agent.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the change of agent for Quick Trip Inc., doing business as Quick Trip 837, located at 400 East Verona Avenue, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Host.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 24-1056, amending section 10-1-27 of the Code of Ordinances relating to parking on Prairie Heights Drive.
Motion by Alder Host. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Host.
In the 100 block of Prairie Heights Drive on the south side of the road, Department of Public Works staff determined the need to amend section 10-1-27 to restrict parking to create space for the tenants of a new development to place garbage receptacles curbside. The amendment proposes restricting parking between two driveways for a distance of 148 feet to facilitate an unobstructed location for garbage pickup. If approved, the parking restriction will prevent vehicles from parking too close or completely blocking garbage receptacles, and staff recommend approval.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Yeah, Alder Braithwaite.
Sorry if I missed it, but is this no parking for that specific day, that garbage collection, or is this all days?
It's a permanent, no parking restriction.
Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving ordinance number 24-1056, amending section 10-1-27 of the Code of Ordinances relating to parking on Prairie Heights Drive, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from Public Safety?
Nothing further, thank you.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to 10D, which is Public Works, Sewer, and Water Committee. Alder Tucker Long.
I would like to make a motion to approve the installation of sidewalk along Mark Drive as part of the 2025-2026 reconstruction project and additional AECom design costs to develop plans.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Braithwaite. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. This item proposes to install a sidewalk for the Mark Drive reconstruction project per the recently implemented sidewalk/multi-use path policy, and to cover the additional AECom costs to cover both the design of the sidewalk and ensure the curb ramp design is ADA compliant. Multi-use path will be included as part of this design process.
Mr. Alec.
Thank you, Mayor. For this one, the contract was not quite ready with the paperwork for the contract. So there's an estimate not to exceed $64,293.20. So if I could propose the motion be moved to approve AECom contract amendment for sidewalk design for Mark Drive, not to exceed $64,293.20, contingent on the city attorney and public works director approval of the contract with AECom.
I would like to ask the council's unanimous consent to change the motion to include the contingency and the not to exceed amount. Any objections?
Thank you.
Seeing no objections. All right, that is the motion. Alder Tucker Long?
That's all I had.
Okay. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Posey.
I know that some of this has occurred already, but do we have an idea of what the plan is to engage with the neighbors in that community to talk about the design?
We have already been engaging the neighbors in discussing this, and once we have an idea of what the design is even going to include, then we'll formulate a more secure plan of how to communicate this to everyone. But right now, we're just in the very early, could we do something design phase, so.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the installation of sidewalk along Mark Drive as part of the 2025-2026 reconstruction project and additional AECom design costs to develop plans with the contingency specified by Mr. Aulick and also the not to exceed amount also specified by Mr. Aulick, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. I move to approve a 10-foot utility easement.
Point of information. My understanding is we are not quite ready to talk about that one.
We're tabling those?
Mr. Manning? Whichever one.
This one, we need some clarification on it, so we sent the easement back for some modification of the language. So it'll be coming back to us in January.
Great.
So table it for now.
So unless anyone wants to make a surprise motion on this item? No? Okay, phew. Alder Tucker Long.
Okay. Sorry, hang on. All right, so then I believe we are up to a discussion and background information and update on the Public Works facility location. So I would like to invite Catherine to pick that up, I believe.
Yes. Ms. Holt?
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I am Catherine Holt, the Community Development Specialist with the City of Verona in the Planning Department. I was involved with several of the discussions regarding the new public works facilities since about 2018. So tonight, the goal is to cover the history of this project and the decisions that have been made to date. The information provided in your council packet covers all of the committee and council meetings regarding this topic, as well as comments that were from the meeting minutes, and that's included in that table. You can easily find this information online by using the dates and the packets to cross-reference the agendas. And I did not include staff discussions in this timeline, just because it'd muddy the waters too much. So in 2017, the city determined that there's a need for more space for public works, parks, and recreation staff and their equipment. It was determined loosely that 12 to 18 acres were needed at a minimum and would need about 80 to 90,000 square foot building that would be sufficient with the projected growth.
Sorry, just one thing.
Sure.
Were we supposed to be seeing a map there, or no? Because for us, the monitor
Nope.
just went dark.
Just the building.
We don't see that either.
Mayor, I believe they're troubleshooting the TV because it's not showing the presentation. I don't know if that is intended or not.
Working better?
It's showing on Zoom. It is not showing on our monitors, which is not. Oh, wait, there we go. Phew. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, thanks for telling me. You never know these things until somebody tells you from far, far away, right? Okay, so in 2017, the city did a feasibility study review for the existing building, which is shown here, and tried to find ways to make everything work. But the property is too small for those needs. So then we also looked at a property diagonal from the existing building located on Bruce Street. This was reviewed, but had significant grade changes and was in the floodplain, rendering about 7 out of the 34 acres buildable, so that would not meet the goals of the Public Works Department. There we go. A north-south oriented property located east of Range Trail was reviewed, which is located outside of the city at that time, but is now the woods at Cathedral Point. This site had significant grade changes and needed to be divided to be a smaller site, and it also limited future expansion because the Ice Age Trail is located to the east of the property. The property here is Range Trail West, which is the one that we ended up purchasing. It was chosen because it's relatively flat and there's room for future expansion, and it was already used as a compost facility, in addition to the other items listed in the bullets. So there were two other properties located in Liberty Business Park that were reviewed, with one and the L-shaped property here. And the other one was somewhere near Well 6, and I couldn't tell you if it was on this side of Well 6 or this side of Well 6. But at the time, the property owner did not return the calls to the city, and so the city walked away from these locations. The chart here on the slide also shows the criteria for all 3 new sites and how that was reviewed. And as you can see, the Range Trail West was the one that met all of the criteria. So in 2017, this is the aerial for the Purple Cow site, and it's highlighted in red. That was the original property lines. The orange is the lot lines that are currently used today after the subdivision of everything there. So in 2018, the city purchased the Purple Cow property as shown in red, and this was for $2.7 million in 2018. The property was annexed into the city. Mr. Kleinmeyer can discuss the agreements and the cost associated with this property once I'm finished with the history, because he knows all of the agreement details more than I do and pretty much wrote all of them, so he can answer all of those questions. As part of the approval, the city rezoned the property to public institutional, which is the one in blue, which is the public works property. And the Veridian lots were carved off of the larger Purple Cow property, creating new lots for single family and twin homes. So that's these in the orange and the beige yellow color. In addition, as part of this, the Cathedral Point basically got expanded because this was the original lot line here. And so these properties got more land as part of the subdivision, and the cul-de-sac pretty much did not exist either. So it was a straight line going all the way across. So that was a bonus for Veridian. But as part of the purchasing of the Purple Cow, Veridian also agreed to disclose to home buyers that the Public Works building will be located behind them. So in 2019, the city removed 2 easements to the property that are noted here in red, which are future roadway connections if this property was to develop outside of being a public works building. These road vacations, which is meaning you're removing the road, allowed larger lots as part of the Veridian development. The city also got approval to expand the sewer service from MMSD and was approved by the council for a request for proposals for a building design on this property. And that was pretty much moving the ball forward from this point on. In 2020, a consultant was selected for the building design. At this point, all of East Chapel Royal Road is built out with homes located here. Magic Meadow only has 1 home left, and the cul-de-sac for Steeple Point has just a couple houses still to be built. The consultant began meeting with staff regularly from June 2020 until February 2023, designing the building and tweaking things as things progressed. So in November of 2020, the Public Works Committee reviewed 3 different options for a site plan. This option has the building set back from the road, and the cold storage abutting the southern property line here, with the salt building using an existing building. And that was the hoop house that was there for Purple Cow. Then option 4 was another one that was reviewed, with the building fronting onto Range Trail and following the alignment for that. A berm was added along the southern property line. The yard waste was located closer to the highway, and the salt building was closer to the to the proposed building. And then for option 7, they moved the building forward as a natural screening. They added more berm and natural screening here along the perimeter, which was constructed. The green space here was noted that it would be used for future expansion, as to not confuse the public of what could be there in the future too. And the yard waste was moved back along the southern property line due to the lack of room on the northern property line for the water and sewer easements here. And those are something that we can't build anything on top of, as it has to be free and clear. So that was something we found out later with the consultant moving through this process, and that's why it's kind of stuck on the southern property line. So in 2020, this is the conceptual building design that was presented to the Public Works Committee. Here are the yard waste bins located along the southern property line. The building maintenance building is here, just north or right of this photo, and then you can see it better here. These slides did not go to the Plan Commission at that time because due to budgetary constraints, we just decided to hold off on moving this design forward at that time and working diligently behind the scenes to figure out other things and interior to the building. So in 2021, the Public Works Department had a neighborhood meeting. They invited 134 property owners, or at least the mailing labels went out to 134 lots. A lot of those happened to be Viridian properties that were still vacant because of the requirements for notification. So that would be the ones closer to the woods at Cathedral Point were still owned by Viridian. And out of those, we had 9 people attend the neighborhood meeting. The comments are included in the packet. They're under the August 4th, 2021 timeline. And they had concerns about noise, smell, and also why the yard waste had to be located so close to the southern property line, on top of just improvements to Range Trail. So then this is the other slide that was shown. Actually, I pulled it directly from the neighborhood meeting. So this is the design that the public saw when they were being presented the information. It's not as detailed as the previous one that went to the Public Works Committee, but it was to give them an idea of what was being proposed and also offer options or ways that they could easily understand it to offer comments and changes that need to be made. And then in 2022, the Public Works Committee reviewed a more detailed conceptual plan, which is this one here. The drop-off site, as I said, could not be moved north, which is what people wanted. There were concerns about cost of the building and could the building be phased or delayed a couple of more years. And again, this is 2022. We started this process with a feasibility study in 2017. The consultant was hired in 2020 to move this forward and with the building design. So I've been working on the building design now for 3 years, loosely, 2.5 years. Staff continue to work with to tweak the interior of the building, and the Public Works staff also toured other Public Works buildings and sites to determine what would work and what didn't work for those operations as they built this site plan here. And again, this did not go to the Plan Commission because budgetary constraints. We were just holding things until it was closer to approval so that if things got approved, you would move forward quickly for building purposes. This is what the properties surrounding the Purple Cow, the Public Works property, look like today. And we also required Public Works, and I don't remember what year, to put this sign up that says City of Verona Public Works Parks and Recreation Home. And that was with the QR code there so that people could look at the website and see how things change. Also, just in case we didn't know the final building designs. So the next steps for this to move forward, and the only steps that have been left due to budget constraints, are the initial review by the Plan Commission, which we would just want to do again because it's been so long since the concept plan was presented to the Public Works Committee. The neighborhood meeting is technically optional, but we recommend it to any developer or anyone else who would develop a site to get feedback. And then the site plan review is what was left, and that includes like the landscaping plan, the lighting plan, the design of the building, and interior and exterior of the whole site would go to the Plan Commission for their approval and final approval. The other thing that's important to note as part of this history is the public funds and resources that have gone into this. I mean, we hired a consultant, we paid a consultant to do the feasibility study. We hired the consultant to do the building design now for 2.5 years. We've spent 2.5 years on the building design solely. The annexation, rezoning, and platting of the land all cost money to do. And annexation means that we have to pay the town of Verona 5 years worth of taxes too, whenever any property is annexed. And since we're the developer, technically we had to pay that. We purchased the land for $2.7 million. We've continued to coordinate with Dane County to determine how Range Trail and County Highway M would improve and what's needed there. We paid the city attorney fees to work on the annexation agreements and all the other agreements behind the scenes, plus purchasing the property. And staff has spent tons of time with the committees and at the council meetings doing things. But again, that's just what we have here. I mean, the emails and everything else behind the scenes has gone on too. So that's the history from what I've been involved in since 2017 regarding the Public Works building. But Brian Kleinmeyer can answer your other questions and explain the developers agreements and things like that.
Mr. Kleinmeyer. Or Mr.
Yes,
Manning?
yes. I'm just laughing about the attorney's fees on the work so far. So my understanding is one of the reasons why we're here tonight is the council is contemplating potentially putting the Public Works facility at a different location. And to be clear, you absolutely can do that if you want to. I mean, notwithstanding the work that's been done to date, if you ultimately determine that you want to put it at a new site, there's steps that can be taken to do that. So that is within your discretion. I think I just wanted to provide a little bit of background, though, about, kind of why the staff and the council, I think, went about it the way they did in 2017, because there was definitely a concern about we don't want to have the budget get hit at the same time with the acquisition of land and then also building the building. And I'm sure COVID, was in between, tonight's meeting and 2017, and so that probably played a part in the delay. And so, I mean, I do think, again, to be clear, you have the discretion to, go someplace else, but I really do think the planning that was done by staff that then was ultimately approved by the Common Council was the right approach to make sure that the budget didn't get hit too hard in one year. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, Theron and Adam Sayer did a lot of work as it related to Purple Cow on this, because the Purple Cow site was actually too big and too expensive initially for the city to pursue acquisition. And so that's where Veridian came in. And so ultimately what we had was the city sat down with Veridian and with Purple Cow, and we basically said, okay, this is the amount of land that the city needs for the new site. And the city and Veridian and Purple Cow were able to work on different land divisions so that the developer was able to essentially get the land that the city didn't need, the developer took, and they were able to put more homes into the Cathedral Point development as part of that process. So it was really kind of a win-win-win for the city, for Purple Cow and Veridian. Purple Cow got to sell all their property, which, as you might imagine, that's what they wanted to do. They didn't want to just sell part of it. The city didn't initially want to buy all of that land. It was going to be too costly. So Veridian was able to come in and acquire a certain amount of acreage that then they were able to add to their development. And so we ended up getting the appropriate amount of land for the price that we needed. Veridian got what it needed, and Purple Cow got what it needed. I haven't been a part of any of the recent conversations. It is my understanding that the city has heard from maybe some residents in the area that they're a little concerned about a public works facility going in there. I'm not sure if ironic is the word, but it would be a little bit ironic that, we worked with the developer to pick this site, and if it turns out that some of those residents in that development are the ones that are complaining, that the developer was part of this process. I think what we're looking for at a staff level here is if the council is going to look at a different site, then we need direction as to, one, where do you want us to go? How are we going to get that land? And what are we going to do with this land then? Because, we paid $2.7 million for it, so it's going to need to get used. It's not going to sit vacant. In all likelihood, we're going to sell it as part of, to try to gather some money to buy whatever the new land is that we need. I mean, you can always do land swaps, and I know that we are prepared to talk about that. But I would just note that whatever goes there is in all likelihood going to create probably more noise and more traffic than a public works facility. And so as we hear from residents, keep that in mind, that it's not going to stay vacant, and any potential other use actually may create more issues for them than a public works facility. And that's just my own personal opinion, but from working on different developments in Verona and other places.
All right, so basically what you're looking for right now is feedback from the council on what, basically staff's like, what are we,
Well,
what
I
are we
mean,
supposed
at
to
the end
do?
of the day, Catherine has identified all the work that's been done to date and kind of the steps. And if the council determines, this is the site, then I think we're in a position to move forward with a building that the city needs. If the council determines it's not, which again, the council has that discretion, then we need to know kind of how to proceed. I do believe that we are going to talk about a different site where we might have the ability to do a land swap, but that's going to create a number of other steps associated with it, and in all likelihood, again, to my point before, result in, then the council's going to have to decide, okay, how is this existing site on Range Trail going to be used? If we're going to do a land swap, the existing uses on the property are not going to allow us to recoup the money that we need to recoup. And so in all likelihood, we're going to be presented with a scenario where somebody says, I want that land to be rezoned and either have some type of multifamily or, mixed use that would go in there, which then kind of dovetails in the comment I made before, which is, yeah, it may not be a DPW site, but if the city moves in that direction, you're probably going to get a use there that's in fact going to create more noise and more traffic than what's presented right now.
Got it. Thoughts from the council? Alder Tucker Long.
So, 2017 was a long time ago. Our city's changed a lot since then. And while, yes, we have heard from residents in that area that they're not thrilled about the public works site being there, there are lots of other reasons that it may not be the best site. The geography on that site is not very conducive to a lot of the building layout we'd like to do there, as Catherine mentioned. And additionally, there's not really good access out of that area back into town. The Range Trail M intersection is not great for getting in and out of the public works area. So one of the things we've been looking at is a property off of Whalen, which has better topography, but also better access and multiple exits and entrances that would make it a lot easier to have a public entrance and a city employee entrance for trucks and things like that. And as far as the Range Trail property goes, we do have an affordable housing fund, as you all know, driving me nuts sitting there unused. And one of the things that I have been researching is potentially putting out an RFP and inviting builders to come in, and as the landowners, we would be able to help foster a truly mixed environment for housing there, as far as having some real entry-level and/or step-down housing for people looking to switch from apartment living into a house, or perhaps seniors wanting to downsize but not being able to afford a property. So we could have an RFP to get some what we used to call starter homes, but just don't exist here in Verona anymore, and get some starter homes. We could make them ADA compliant from the get-go, which makes them very convenient for seniors to move into, as they, might need some more of, or less stairs and things like that as they get older. It would allow us to perhaps encourage some smaller multifamily units, like maybe an 8-plex or things like that. And we can also look at selling off certain lots to developers as well, to develop market rate housing as well. Like I said, it would give us the opportunity to sort of cultivate a truly mixed housing area and provide home ownership opportunities for people with our Affordable Housing Fund money. So I think we have a lot of good uses for that property, and also as we sell off the properties, that would help recoup the money as well. So that property is definitely worth a lot more now than it was when we bought it. And so as we sell it off, we should be able to recoup money and also contribute towards the new Public Works property money as well.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Posey.
So I kind of want to ask a question, because I feel like I'm hearing one thing from one side, but then the history is telling me something slightly different. So this is, I guess, a question for staff, is the things that Alder Tucker Long is bringing up about entrance and exit and everything else, is that coming from staff? Is that Catherine, was that stuff that may have been brought up early on? Like, this is stuff that, yes, we've been in this design process, we've been in this budgeting process for years now, and is this just all coming up now? Like, I'd like a little bit more on how we are, where we are, that we're this far in and now looking at other things. So who wants that one?
I would just say that, because my understanding from the staff members who were here, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to argue anything, but they felt that the site was perfectly appropriate and it was going to work for them. And my understanding is while the building had to be, maybe moved, it does work. Now, there may be reasons why you don't want to do it, and that's why I wanted to make clear on the front end that you have the discretion not to do it. But my understanding is the site will work for DPW, and that staff at the time had looked at traffic issues, were definitely worried about trucks coming in and out, and was not concerned with these issues.
Mr. Manning, did you have anything to add?
I think there was some initial design work done in agreements with Dane County, so the intersection of Range Trail and County M, I think, even though the design doesn't show up in the current plans, that there have been discussions started. I don't really know where that stands, and I guess I can't give much insight on what they are, but I think the design is far enough along, and like Brian said, it's buildable. I mean, the design is there. We want to take another look at it if it currently meets our needs based on the time that's gone past, but it's functional. I don't know if it's the best site. I guess that's where I keep coming back to is I'm looking for direction on what you want to do. Because for Public Works, we're kind of bursting at the seams a little bit. We're double stacked and triple stacked in some of our offices. We're parking our equipment off-site right now at Range Trail because that's what we have. So I'd like to get moving, but I'm just not sure how to go forward.
So then I guess the question really to the council is how do we move forward? Go with the current site, give staff a hard direction that site's just not going to work and go somewhere else. So I guess, what do people think?
And if I may, it's also then, though, the key is, like, the one option has been identified, and that is an option to consider. I think I heard at a staff level meeting today that if we're not going to sell the existing property, if we're not going to use it and we're not going to sell it, so we're not going to do a land swap, the rough number of acquiring the land is in the $6.3 million range. Which again, then we're going to be talking about for budget purpose, acquiring land and then also having to build the building. Which you can do. Again, I'm not trying to advocate one way or the other. I'm just trying to give facts.
Okay. Mr. Aulick, if it's real quick, and then I'll
It
try
is
to-
real quick.
Got a lot of hands up
It's
now.
just that, just as far as costs already, we have $2.73 million on the current site. I got an email, I asked about the cost of those 3 lots near 151 in Wayland, and it was $10 a square foot, which for 15.4 acres is $6.6 million for 15.4 acres, those 3 parcels there. So it's $6.6 million for 15.4 acres. I think there's also probably an upcharge on that because it's next to 151. It's got high visibility from the highway. So that's at least what he gave me back for a figure on purchasing land. And quite frankly, and we've looked and we've asked, is there, 20 acres around the city of Verona available? And none of it's cheap. And potentially, we did discuss at a meeting last week a potential land swap, but it was a land swap. It wasn't land for sale per se or anything like that, which would have been, I think, suitable for the Public Works Department, given the topography of those lots. But anyway, it's going to be, we'll be carrying both 2.73 million plus how many ever million we also spend to purchase more land.
Alder Posey, you still have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Because I don't know if I entirely got an answer as far as how we got where we are, where we're completely, like, I guess, how do I want to say this? We are 2.5 years is what the design was, and if we're starting over and we're busting at the seams, we're starting completely over. And I guess, I don't know, is that what staff needs? I guess that's really what it is. What do we need to function as a city? And can we wait another 2.5 years? Because I don't know that I'm hearing that. Because that's what we're talking about here in reality, correct?
Mr. Manning, I think you move first, so.
All right. Lucky me. Well, we're Public Works, so we'll do whatever it takes. I mean, we deal with what's in front of us, and we just go.
Yeah.
Is it preferred? No, it's not. I mean, I wish we were further along, and I wish we already had a building up right now. We don't. So I guess I'm just looking to see how we can, again, I said it before, but I'm looking for guidance on what we can do to try to move forward, and in whatever shape and form that is. You know, we have land, we have a design, we have options for other land. We'd have to modify the design. I mean, it's all money and time, and I guess anything's possible. And if we want to wait longer, we have investment court, and we'll pack her full, and we'll move more vehicles to Range Trail in the meantime. I mean, it's what we're going to do, because you know, the city's not getting smaller, and when there's more services that we take care of.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else on staff have related thoughts?
I just had a real quick one. As far as timeline, we discussed it a little bit earlier. Catherine, if we were to just use this site and go today, about how long did we say, would it be about a year? I forget, or if we were to
For
look.
this site, no, it would,
Go for it.
sorry, Jamie. For this site in particular, whenever it goes to the site plan, so you'd have the initial review, which would take a month, and then you could flip it, have a neighborhood meeting the next month, and then it would go to Plan Commission for site plan review, and that would be done. So in 3 months, the whole building design and everything could be approved. If it went to a different property that is not currently in the city of Verona, it would take 18 months, because you'd have to annex the property, you'd have to add it to the urban service area, which is a CARPC process, and that takes time. And then you'd have to go through the remaining approval process for the city to develop.
Mr. Severson, did you have something?
Yeah, I was basically going to say what Ms. Holt said regarding timeline. So there's the property that was identified in Liberty Park. Right now, that seems to be cost prohibitive if that's the site that would be selected. I mean, that's entirely up to the council if they want to pay that much. But other options that we've looked at would be, as Ms. Holt said, are outside the city. So those would take some time to work out a contract, have the property annexed. The one thing that would be out of the city's control ultimately would be the expansion of the urban service area. And so that would need to go to CARPC and DNR. So those want to be decisions that we have control over. And then there would have to be some analysis done prior to making that application to CARPC. They usually like to, or what I've been told by their current executive director, is that we would need to update our comprehensive plan for that area to allow for the type of uses that we're anticipating. So those are just all things, they just kind of build up and take additional time. And the one item which we don't know would be if CARPC would grant the expansion to the urban service area.
Real quick, just, I mean, my understanding too is if we would do the land swap, and again, that's only one of the options, the city would probably have to make improvements to Wayland Road, which would then also would be a cost, if I heard that correctly during our staff meeting today, would be a cost and a procedural issue.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Alder Posey?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for giving that level of information on this. Thank you.
Thought I saw Alder Hoax's hand up, or did I imagine that? Yeah.
So yeah, I think I do appreciate the years of work that have gone into it. I guess my question or comment is really just because I know we've sunk money into it, but that doesn't mean that we have to necessarily sink 20 million or whatever price we already. I don't even know what the price tag is currently that we're looking at for this building. I don't love the location. I mean, my neighborhood is over there, and I drive on Range Trail every day, so I don't think it's a great spot. But I think ultimately, like, if that is the spot we decide to go with, like, there's got to be a way to make this building cheaper, right? We have Cleary in the city, right? They're here. Like, we can build offices, and you can build a pole shed, right? But $20 million, if I told my neighbors that, and they're like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, no, that's what they say it's costing. Like, so I don't, there has to be a way to make it cheaper. It might not look as pretty, which I get is not ideal when you have a neighborhood right there. But there's got to be something we can do, whether it's a pole shed and offices, or we phase it out, or we keep, I think we try to keep the building we currently have for whether it's parks and parking or parks and equipment, and then make this smaller, or there's got to be some other option. But it can't just be like, well, we got to keep going, let's just spend 20 because we're already super far in, right? That's like, I think that's not very responsible. But I don't think we need to buy a $6 million plot of land. That sounds wild. So I guess I don't know, but I don't think the argument of we've sunk money and we should just storm ahead is like gonna fly, probably, I think. Thank you.
Alder Helmke, I believe.
Yeah, so my questions are around, two things. So the cost of, okay, so the land that we currently own on Range Trail, what do we think that the value of that land is if we could sell it? Do we know that?
Do we have any guesses?
No, I mean, ultimately, if you want to get a good number, it would have to be kind of put on the open market. Otherwise, such as like an RFP or kind of putting it up for sale. Another way of doing it would be to have the property appraised. That would give you some level, although I'm not sure how accurate that would be given the volatility of land prices. Ultimately, you'd probably just have to put it up for an RFP and see what proposals come in.
Yeah, because I guess my concern is like we're saying that, we can't afford the I don't know where we can or we can't. I mean, I guess I know we can't, but like the 6.6 million feels like a lot, but also if the site is worth something in that ballpark, like that maybe offsets it if we decide to sell it for like, maybe with what Alder Tucker Long is saying, right? We don't have that information, so I'm really not sure how we can make that call at this point. My other question is about if we were to move it to the other property, which we had talked about, Liberty Park, are we truly starting over? I'm in favor of what Alder Hoax is talking about of like figuring out maybe a better, I feel like I've heard that other people thought that as well was like, it's kind of robust for what our needs are, but I could be wrong on that. Would we have to truly start over if we were to be able to buy that land for some reason? Like, could we just put the existing building that has been created to some extent, like the layout, onto that other site? Or would it have to be completely, like, there's a complete start over?
Who wants that one?
Yeah, when that property was identified as a potential, Brian Manning did ask the designers that were currently working on the Range Trail site, did have them do like a conceptual design to see if the facility would theoretically fit on it. That was the concept design, and I guess I'll leave it up to Brian Manning.
So what I asked them to do is basically transfer the buildings from Range Trail and just make sure that they fit on the property over off of Whalen, and they do. There's enough acreage there that it's not really configured as what the final layout will be, but the buildings do fit. So that was, I guess, the first concept is to make sure that everything is going to be able to be placed there.
Yeah, so the 18-month thing is really only if there was something besides that. Like, that property would not be 18 months, because that's in Verona currently.
It's not in Verona.
But it's in the town of Verona. So we'd have to go through that process.
Yeah, now, the benefit of that property is I believe that we've already had discussions and you could do a land swap, which means then you're not incurring additional land cost essentially.
What is the land swap offer on the table? Because, like, or do we not know? But, like, is it 1-to-1, or is it, or do we not want to talk about that because it's a negotiating point in open session? Do we know?
I think it's, the preliminary discussions, I would say, have been favorable. Is that a way to,
Yeah.
put it?
Yep.
And I will say, we did, the initial purchase of the Purple Cow site was based off of an appraisal that was done. So that essentially the Veridian and the city worked with Purple Cow on. And so, yeah, definitely, if it turns out that the city is going to go in a different direction and, sell the existing property in some way, shape, or form, an appraisal is the process that was used the last time.
Okay. I think I had.
Oh, I'm not
Oh,
done.
sorry, you're not done. Go ahead.
So I guess, so the traffic is a concern of mine. I know it's been brought up by people in public comment that live over there. I just know I don't even drive over there a whole bunch, but that feels like a dangerous intersection if there was going to be incremental people, especially if we're going to be using it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, right? Like, there's unlimited access, the trucks during the day. Like, it makes me very nervous putting it without knowing that there's going to be some sort of traffic stopping mechanism. It's a little weird because, you come like at kind of at a curve around the bridge, like in the winter, that's slippery. Somebody actually was killed there, in the past couple of years. It just, like, the whole thing makes me very nervous. And I guess that's just a comment. And then my fourth thing is, I do agree with Alder Hoeks. Like, I would want to understand what is actually needed for this building instead of, if it is truly like what is being proposed, and how we're going to be identifying what is really needed, because we do have to justify these costs to the city, the voters and the constituents who are paying taxes here. And I want to be able to confidently do that we're not creating a space that we actually don't need. And then, I guess, piggybacking on that, then is Alder Hoeks' comment fair that we could use parks, like, could parks be in that building, the current building could that be something where we split?
Mr. Wozak? As long as you're here.
So the building's absolutely usable. I think one of the arguments behind, looking back 7 years at this facility that's been planned and designed is that joint location where residents can come, speak with park staff, rec staff, forestry staff, speak with public works, all that. Having we share a lot of resources, tandem trucks, backhoes, all that kind of stuff. So to have everything under one roof is probably, in a perfect world, is more ideal. Understanding that we're able to operate separately as well. I think it's more efficient if we're under one roof or at least close by.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I thought I had Alder Harrison, or no? Nope. Alder Tucker Long than myself.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here. First off, I just want to make sure I understand. So Liberty Business Park lots are not in the city of Verona?
Sorry, there's Liberty Business Park, that was a site that we were looking at. There's also sites in that general vicinity that are not in the city. So there's two sites that were looked at. Liberty Business Park is in the city of Verona. The other sites that have potential are not in the city of Verona. So basically anything in Liberty Business Park is going to be in that $10 a square foot range. I think some properties may have been sold for $8 a square foot, but I think those might have been smaller properties, not on the bypass. So those are like three sites we're kind of talking about now. The existing site that we've have purchased, the Liberty Business Park site, which we've got they have a broker. Mr. Alec reached out to them, and that's where we got the figure of $10 a square foot. And then there's potential other sites that are not within the city that would need to be annexed. So that's where the 18 months comes from, is if it's not within the city.
Okay, and then I would just like to ask Mr. Manning if you could comment, if we are not talking about how much the land costs, which location is better for Public Works? The property on Whalen or the property on Range Trail?
Big if. If money's not an object. I prefer the site on Whalen. I think it provides better access in and out to access all areas of the city most quickly. Since money's always an object,
Well, yes.
I will
Yeah.
not comment further.
One other benefit to the properties on Whalen is that, as Mr. Manning mentioned earlier, we are a city that is not getting any smaller. And the Range Trail property is completely boxed in, and so there's no opportunities for expansion there at any point. Whereas the properties on Whalen, there is a lot of farmland around or other industrial park lots. And so if we would need to expand in the future, there is more land to expand onto if we need to. I think the other thing we should consider is that we're comparing a $2.7 million figure to a potential $6 million figure. However, that $2.7 million figure is from 2017, which in real estate terms here in Verona is not even in the same town we're talking about anymore. Property values have skyrocketed. Additionally, when I reached out to the realtor for the property on Whalen that's in Liberty Business Park, the realtor said it was listed for $10 a square foot, but did mention that the buyer was very motivated to sell and they would be willing to entertain lower offers. So I think that's definitely something we should investigate, whether or not we want to, take a look at, is there a potential lower offer we would be comfortable with for that property?
Mr. Kleinmeyer.
Yeah, I think those are all good. I just want to make sure that we're talking, I think and everyone's kind of dancing around this, so I'm going to try to dance around it too. I believe the site that Mr. Manning was talking about is the site that's not in the city of Verona right now. I just want to make clear that, because I think that we've been talking about a site in Liberty Business Park that is in the city of Verona. That's where the broker's been discussed. And the site that Mr. Manning, and I think that is probably the greatest benefit of the Whalen, of the site that's not in the city of Verona, is you do have the ability to potentially get some additional land to right away so that you could plan for a potential expansion in the future if you wanted to.
So is the $10 figure then for the Liberty Business Park Whalen property or for the not yet in Verona Whalen property?
It's in for the not yet in Verona.
no,
No, it's for the, I'm sorry.
Liberty Business. Liberty Business Park.
We have to give them code names.
I know, right?
You could go east and west.
Okay.
Basically, the two properties that we're looking at, the one's in Liberty Business Park to the west, the other one's in Town of Verona to the east, right by our well.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Have we-
they're both along Whalen, but they're across the street from each other.
Okay, so then when we're talking about cost, do we have any idea what that land would cost?
That's the one where we would be in a position to potentially do the land swap. So it
East or
theoretically
west?
could be
east
could be a
property.
land swap, so you're talking about zero.
Okay, but if we're not talking about a land swap, let's say we stick with affordable housing at Range Trail, then what kind of cost are we looking at? And also, if we're talking about a land swap, but we don't know how much our property is worth, how do we know it's an equal value?
I would say that we would need to evaluate that. That would, though, be that then gets into the land swap is got a value to the city, I think, from a financial standpoint. Keep in mind, though, that's where we're going to have to go through the process of that. The other party in a land swap is not going to swap land with us until they know exactly how they can use the land on Range Trail. And so as part of that process, we would effectively go through a value issue and also a use issue. And now we need to be very careful here, because if we were to pursue that, our decision on use would not in any way, shape, or form be, we'd have to separate the deal from the use of the property. And we can do that. We can do that. It's been done before, but we would have to make clear that we are making that distinction, because we can't effectively sell the use to get the land, essentially.
Too bad.
Okay, but we don't have any idea what the estimated cost of the East Wayland property is to purchase.
I think we can assume, based on, like you said before, value of land in Verona is high, so if it's going to be a land swap, my belief is it's going to be relatively similar in cost. And I'm not saying don't do this, but it gets more complicated if effectively you're not going to be able to do the land swap. I think while it may not be the $6.3 million figure, I think that you could safely believe that it's going to be over $5 million.
You still have the floor if you...
Yeah, I guess, can you clarify why it's more complicated if we don't do a land swap?
Because then you're not able to utilize the money, you're not able, I guess maybe it may not be more complicated from a use standpoint, it's more complicated from a financial standpoint.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, I think that's all I have for right now.
Calling on myself, I think to build off of something Alder Hoke said, I think that we should never get rid of a city facility or property, ever. Like, we should never sell it to offset, because it's so hard to get new property in Verona, and it's so expensive to build a new building. And we should hang on to the current Public Works building till it falls apart. And we should still keep it and then rebuild something else there once it does. In regards to the land swap thing, I guess I would like to see, I really think, I would like it if we could hold on to the property, the former Purple Cow site, and potentially do something with it, see what Bob Cachetta comes up with as far as affordable housing is, or build something else there. However, financially, I don't think we can do that. In a perfect world, we would just buy a new plot of land that was very reasonably priced. There are not reasonably priced plots of land in Verona anymore, just like there's not any starter homes in Verona anymore. So I think, to me, what this choice comes down to is, where is the best spot to put the Public Works building? And if we can do a land swap and basically come out net zero and put it on the east location in off of Wayland, I think I would be in favor of looking what that would look like. And like I said, I'd be very disappointed if we have to give up this property, because it's prime property. It's ready to go, and we could do a lot with it. We could, RFP, developers, tons of possibility. But, in the interest of being fiscally responsible, I think straight up land swap, we get the Public Works building a better location. We make some of the neighbors potentially, maybe, happier that the Public Works building isn't going to go there. I do appreciate Alder Helmke's comment at a previous meeting where she mentioned that, like, something will go there. I hope that everyone understands that. Just from the way things have worked currently, I think it's going to be residential. But to me, that's kind of, I think, where I'm at. And if the land swap is what it takes to put the Public Works building in a better building, or a better location, we should do it, and then we should race through the process to get the building started. Other thoughts from the council? Alder Braithwaite.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm in favor of getting it right, not just getting it fast. I sympathize with the Public Works Department's current predicament, but City of Verona's not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger. I'd rather, it takes a good year and a half to design a building anyway. I'd rather get the property right, rather than kick ourselves, in 10 years saying, yes, we got this facility, we worked with what we had at the time, but we didn't explore all possibilities. I'd rather get all the data we can. Land swap is a tool, purchasing is a tool. I think there might be other tools, but I don't want to just do it because it's convenient. It's not. It may be convenient now, but it's not convenient in my mind long term.
Other thoughts or directions for staff? Alder Helmke.
It seems to me like we don't have a conclusion. So I guess that's why I'm trying to figure out what you're asking of us. Because I still am confused that I understand the concept of the land swap. I understand the concept of staying in that space. What I still don't understand is the value of our property and how we can't. Is it just like really the timing that you're saying is like it's just too long of a runway to be able to sell the land for the purpose of the things that we want to use it for versus selling it, doing the land swaps that the other person can use it? I guess that's what I'm trying to like, I just don't know we have all the information.
I guess, are you saying what you'd want to have happen is us to get the land appraised and then potentially sell it at RFP and then make a totally new purchase for the Public Works building? Because
Yeah, I think so, because the thing is, it's like, without knowing how much it costs, I don't know that the land swap is in our favor, just from like a financial standpoint. I don't want to be giving up land that's worth more than the land we're getting. I understand that the benefit, I agree with what Alder Braithwaite has said, right? Like, long-term, we need to be thinking, we just, I think lots of people have said this, right? We need to be strategic. We don't want to do something just because we have this land. But I just don't feel like we have all the information. And that's why I feel like, yes, I think there's the alternative 3 is selling for the purpose we want to sell for, and then having another transaction. Because what if we can sell it for more than the land that we want to get? Like,
I think that's a very valid point, and we want to be prudent with our assets as well. How long would it take, and how much would it cost to get an appraisal on the former Purple Cow site?
Well, so part of it is going to be, so there's two, I mean, there's essentially different ways that it would be valued. If you're going to, and I'm just speculating, if you're going to do a land swap, what you're going to do is you're going to get the value of the current range trail, you're going to get an appraisal, and it's probably going to be valued at its highest and best use, which is in all likelihood either some form of mixed use or multifamily. Then the place that we would swap the land, we're going to have to get an appraisal of whatever the highest and best use is of that land. And then those appraisals are going to form the basis for a land swap. And we would have to do that anyway. Then the issue becomes, though, there is and you can do that, but you would also use that appraisal then to potentially do an RFP on the Range Trail property, depending, and what we don't know yet, although I think that we have an idea of what it's going to be, is if the city is going to do an RFP for the housing format that Beth is talking about, in all likelihood, you're not going to get the value from that use that you would get if it was going to be, let's say, multifamily. Now, that doesn't mean you don't do it, but that's where you're going to be able to find out the value difference. But to be clear, I mean, the discussions on the land swap, I think we said, have been favorable but preliminary. We do have to do appraisals because we're going to have to justify, and to me, this goes to how much land are we going to get. It may be that the land on Range Trail is valued greater than the land that we've been talking about for the land swap. Now, then you still have to negotiate, but that may be something that the city can utilize to get a little bit bigger site to deal with expansion in the future. That's the potential benefit. But you start with essentially the appraisals, which, I mean, and if that's the direction the council is providing to staff, that is valuable information to know that that's, and appraisals usually cost about $5,000, $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
Sorry, it's going to delay your process a little bit, but.
I'd rather get it right. I mean, I'm all about getting it right.
But yeah, so I mean, appraisals I think are going to be necessary no matter what, and if that's what the council wants the staff to do, I think that that's a good direction coming out of the meeting.
I guess I would take it to the council and said, is that our direction? I'm seeing nodding. We need nodding. Alder Posey, though.
So the one other piece of this that should come into consideration is what other prep needs to be done to utilize that site. Because that's a site that we've looked at previously as far as, development and running water and running electric and everything else out there that doesn't exist and is a whole lot easier to get to the existing site. I'm all for shifting to a better property and a better, way of movement, but I think that's something else that needs to be considered in this process as well as evaluating the land piece.
Mr. Manning.
For the Wayland site, there's already sanitary there, and there's already water because it's right next to our well number 6. So we have sewer and water there already. So we'd have to make improvements to the roads, because right now it's just stubbed off of Wayland, and it doesn't extend any further north. But we'd also have to make improvements on Range Trail. So we're going to be spending money on improvements either way.
So again, I saw at least a few people say they want to go the appraisal route. I guess, does anyone not want to go the appraisal route and, I don't know, stick with the current location, pick a new location? Okay, so I think, is that helpful?
Yes.
Are you good?
Yep. Yep.
Any other questions or feedback you need from the council?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alder Tucker Lund.
I would like to make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement to fund a position responsible for stormwater information and education and outreach coordination for the Madison Area Municipal Stormwater Partnership, abbreviated MAMSWAP.
Motion by Alder Tucker Lund. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Braithwaite. Alder Tucker Lund.
This intergovernmental agreement is a continuation of a cooperative partnership among municipalities in Dane County which jointly participate in a stormwater discharge permit. One of the required work elements of the permit is the operation of an information, education, and outreach program. The materials and products that result from this joint effort are expressly developed for the parties to partially fulfill their information and education permit obligations. The funding allocation is based on the population from the 2020 census. So this is a split position that we are paying a portion for based on our population, along with the other municipalities.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the intergovernmental agreement to fund a position responsible for stormwater information and education and outreach coordination for the Madison Area Municipal Stormwater Partnership, MAMSWAP, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from Public Works?
Nothing further.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to item 11, which is new business. First up, we have 11A, which is a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 24-034, authorizing the issuance of $20 million of municipal revenue bond obligations of the city of Verona, Wisconsin to Epic Systems Corporation. Mr. Olick.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution authorizes the city of Verona to follow through on commitments made pursuant to the terms of a development agreement, Public Improvements Tax Incremental District Number 11. It authorizes the city to issue a municipal revenue obligation or bond in the principal amount of $20 million to the developer payable solely from tax increments generated from TID number 11 and payable in installments as set forth in Section 9B of the development agreement.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Harrison.
I just wanted to declare that I am abstaining from discussing or voting on this because I work for Epic.
Excellent. Thank you. Alder Tucker Lund.
I move that we approve resolution number 24-034, authorizing the issuance of $20 million municipal revenue bond obligation of the city of Verona, Wisconsin to Epic Systems Corporation.
Motion by Alder Tucker Lund. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Humke. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? I guess I would just note we've spent a lot of time talking about this. So, it is a big number, and it seems kind of strange not to have any discussion, but this is the very end process, well, near the end process of a lot of different meetings and discussions. But seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 24-034, authorizing the issuance of $20 million municipal revenue bond obligation of the city of Verona, Wisconsin to Epic Systems Corporation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes with Alder Harrison abstaining. Next up, we have 11B, which is a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 24-035, ordering a special election for Aldermanic District 2. Mr. Olick.
Thank you, Mayor. In June 2024, Alderperson Ry Kimmett resigned, thereby creating a vacancy in Aldermanic District 2. Subsequently, the council appointed Alderperson Brent Kaiser McHenry to fill the vacancy until the 2025 spring election, where candidates would run for election to fill the remaining year of the term. The city must provide a copy of this resolution to the Dane County Clerk and the Wisconsin Elections Commission to ensure the office is on the ballot for the April 1, 2025 spring election.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Tucker Long.
I move to approve Resolution 24-035, ordering a special election for Aldermanic District Number 2.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Humke. Motion before the body. Any questions or comments on this motion? Kind of got to do it. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor of resolution number 24-035, ordering a special election for Aldermanic District 2, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we move on to 11C, which is discussion and possible action regarding the design services agreement for the Military Ridge State Trail Paving Project at JT Engineering. Mr. Olick?
Thank you, Mayor. Funds have been allocated in the 2025 budget to complete design and engineering for paving the Military Ridge State Trail. The City of Verona has been working with the DNR for some time to draft a formal agreement which will allow for the paving of the Military Ridge State Trail from Old PB to approximately 400 feet west of Wildcat Way. Staff expect a finalized land use agreement to be presented to the Common Council for approval in early 2025. To keep the project on schedule, staff are recommending commencing the design phase of the project and have worked with JT Engineering to put together a design services agreement.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions? Alder Humke.
I move to approve the design services agreement for the Military Ridge State Trail paving project with JT Engineering for a cost not to exceed $104,000.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Tucker Long. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? I just want to thank staff and especially Mr. Wazak, who is, I would like to actually now thank you for this and also for all of your service and accomplishments to the city. I think you've done an excellent job and I'm sure you'll be, I wish you good luck, but I know you're going to be successful where you go. So, and also I'm also super excited we're getting started on this because people have been talking about this since the 1990s. And now that the high school is built, it's really urgent and really important. So I'm super excited. Any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of design services agreement for the Military Ridge State Trail paving project with JT Engineering, in regard, including the not to exceed amount specified by Alder Humke, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. I will move on to item 12, adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Hoax. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Humke. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we are adjourned at 9:37 p.m. Thank you, everyone.